Okay, now we're going to talk about setting up Crashlytics. So basically, Crashlytics is um, it's an aspect of Firebase, and what it does is keep track of your crashes and other information, analytics information with regard to the performance of your app. So you're going to want to know when your app crashes in real time. You add this to your project. So I'm going to go in detail about how to set it up and show you how to fix some of the bugs that can happen along the way, and also created this presentation to explain it more. So let's go to the next. So in order to set up Crashlytics, you've got to understand terminal commands, which I'm going to go over, and which I've already gone over to a certain extent in previous lessons. So if you don't understand how to use terminal and terminal commands and git commands, you should probably go back and look at look at those lessons. You should also be able to know how to implement a text editor. In this case, we are using TextMate. TextMate is a text editor of choice. You should also understand third-party dependency management, which means Gem, Homebrew, and CocoaPods. So Gem and Homebrew, they are third-party dependency management for the Mac, iOS, and CocoaPods manages frameworks for Xcode and Swift. So you're going to use either Gem or Homebrew to install CocoaPods, and I'm going to show you how to use both. You should also understand how to access Firebase and access the Firebase documentation. Okay. So this is an overview of how this Firebase is going to work with us. You have your computer here, and somewhere in your computer is going to be your project. You go into your terminal, you're going to access Homebrew. Homebrew will allow you to install CocoaPods. And of course, you install CocoaPods and create a pod file that accesses the Firebase and Crashlytics framework. You can either do this with Homebrew or do it with you're gonna do it with Gem as well. You can do it with Gem as well. And I'll show you how to set up CocoaPods using either Homebrew or Gem. Once CocoaPods is set up, you use CocoaPods to create your pod file, and that pod file you import, or you kind of import your Firebase Crashlytics frameworks, and you create an executable on your computer, and that is how you add Crashlytics to your project. And this is kind of still more of another description, give you a bigger view. Again, you have your terminal. Your terminal accesses your project on your computer. You will create, this is Firebase, this is the Firebase symbol. When you go into Firebase, you'll create a Firebase project. Once you create a Firebase project, you will then get an info.plist, and that info.plist will go into your project. You'll go into terminal. You'll go into terminal, create the executable, and voila, you will have a CocoaPods executable of your project. Again, I will show you how to do that. Again, I'm creating these diagrams to give you a bird's eye view of how it's done. Now, let's jump into doing this step by step. On to the next.